All praises to the Most High. Right, we hear again the Hebrew Israelites to wake up our people primarily. Um, so the thing today that I'm talking about is everybody. I came to this conclusion, right? I was talking to a sister at work that I work with. She's of the tribe of Ephraim, a so-called Puerto Rican sister. A little darker than me, more brown skin complexion. And I heard some things she was saying. She doesn't know, but I know that she practices Santeria because she had the beads on. And then I heard her say certain phrases to individuals that practice the same practice. And I asked her a question. I forgot what I asked her, but it was a line along the lines of, I was just curious, what religion are you? And she said, I can't discuss that because our tradition teaches us we're not allowed to discuss it with outsiders. And a thought came to me. A lot of these different secret society religions that our people are in, the Freemasons, mysticism, Santeria, the voodoo, why can you not discuss these things with your people? Why are you withholding some type of light? You believe this to be the truth and the light of enlightenment or whatever you believe, to ascend to the next plane, to serve God truly and freely in spirit. Why are you not trying to enlighten me? Let's say it is correct. Why are you withholding this from me and hiding it? And why do I say that? You might say, why are you bringing that up? Why does it matter? When you look at these major secret societies and these major religions that withhold the truth from people, they all say that Jesus, right, who the world calls Jesus or Isa today, right, in Arabic and English, who in modern Hebrew it says his name is Yeshua, and in the Paleo we call him Yahweh Shai, right? Hamashiach, which means the anointed one of the chosen. Why do they always use this figure as their central figure of their religion and their belief? But none of them ever follow what he actually taught, and they never actually go into what he was. And I'm just making this a little quicker, right? Because you have to do the research for yourself. I can't give you all the pieces to the puzzle, right? This is the introduction phase. When you look at it, and I'm gonna make this part quick. When you look at Santeria, they believe that Jesus was like a high priest or witch warlock. It had very powerful power and secrets, right? When you look at, and they also follow pieces of Catholicism, right? Because of that. When you look at Islam, they believe that he is actually the Messiah that's going to come back and slay the unbelievers of the pig, right? Keep that in mind. Santeria, they believe he's a central figure, which is witchcraft that, they pay homage to the Yoruba African deities. Islam, they see him as a central figure. He's the Messiah. Christianity, obviously, they see him as the Messiah. Christianity, they see him as God in the flesh, right? So that's three major belief systems our people are in. The Freemasons, right? They also follow the book, or they say they follow and have the secret answers to the book that the Messiah, Yahushua, is in. And they read the book and have these so-called enlightened secrets of a book that he followed with the Torah and the Tanakh, right? Another one, even though some of them have different understanding on the Messiah. Some of them believe it's just a story, whatever, right? Now, what we're going to do is we understand that the Messiah, Yahushua Mashiach, or Jesus the Christ, he was not a Santeria witch or warlock. There's no proof of that. He was not a Muslim. They would say he's Muslim. He was not a Freemason. They would say he's a Freemason. And he understood secrets. Christians would say he was a Christian. He was no Christian. There's no evidence to say he was a Christian, right? Sufism, which Indians follow, would say that he was an enlightened guru that achieved enlightenment. There's no proof of him being a Suf, because that religion started in the 17th century. And we're going to go into what the Messiah, Jesus Christ, was and what did he taught? What did he teach? So if you can read Matthew chapter 1 and verse 1, and I'm going to tell you when to stop. I think you're on mute, guy.
Salaki. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 1 from the top. entitled The Genealogy of Hamashiach, the book of the generation of Yahushua Hamashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judas and his brethren. And Judas begat Phares and Phares and Zamar and Tamar. And Phares begat Ezram, and Ezram begat Aram, and Aram begat Aminabad, and Aminabad begat Nasan, and Nasan begat Salmon, and Salmon begat Booz of Rakab, and Booz begat Obed of Ruth, and Obed begat Jesse.
Okay,
And Jesse,
you can stop there. So the key central figure that people in these other religions revere, follow, see him as a teacher, an enlightened one, a God even. Our Messiah, our brother, which we call, a prophet, which is a messenger, the son of God, which Israelites are all sons of God. But the Bible is explaining, when you look in the genealogy of Matthew, it's talking about a genealogy. The genealogy in English is just the genealogy of Jesus Christ, right?
okay.
And the son of David, the son of Abraham, is listing a genealogy. And you can go farther through the genealogy and read that for yourself. Every person named in this genealogy is a Hebrew, right? And then later on, Israelite, because there's a whole history between that in Genesis 25. But nonetheless, they are Hebrews, right? Israelites, Hebrew Israelites, Jews. You don't see any group of other people found within this genealogy of the Messiah. And why is this important? You might say that doesn't matter. Because the belief in today's time is typically that you could be in America. We understand this understanding, right? If you're in the Western Hemisphere listening to this, most people have the ideology that you can be, it doesn't matter the ethnicity, nationality, or race that you are, you can be whatever religion that you want to be. But in the West, that's a new concept. Because if you are in the East, you are whatever religion your people belong to. If you're of the Yoruba tribe, you follow the Yoruba deities, which that's a whole nother history. But if you are Asian, you're following Buddhism, right? If you're Muslim, you're following whatever pantheon that your people believe that they are, attributed to. So when you deal with Jesus the Christ or Yahushua HaMashiach, he was a Hebrew man, right? How can we prove this? We can prove this a couple ways. It says that he descends from Abraham, right? What was Abraham? I'm going to give you a scripture to show what Abraham was. Let me pull this real quick. So if you could go to Genesis 14 and 13 and read that for me. Because this is one of Yahushua HaMashiach, or Jesus the Christ. This is his direct descendant ancestor, going far back.
Con, it's the book of Genesis, chapter 14, verse 13. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshol and brother of Anar.
Okay. So Abram, which his name was later changed to Abraham, right? That's another lesson for another time. But Abram the Hebrew, that dwelt in a particular land. The point and the highlight is Abram the Hebrew. He was a Hebrew man. So if we understand this, and we understand, all right, Jesus the Christ, Yahushua, okay, he comes from a Hebrew people. He descends from Jacob, which, they are Israelites. And then we understand, we read through his genealogy, he comes from the tribe of Judah, okay. The tribe of Judah, the Judites, they're Jews. So he's a Hebrew Israelite, he's a Jew. Then this later puts the conclusion in your mind. What connection and what business does a Hebrew Israelite, a tribe, a Jew, right, that follows jewelry, that has a faith, has a custom, has a culture, has a language, has a way that they go about things? What would give you the right idea that he was a Muslim? that he was a Christian, a Western Christian. He walked around with a cross and wore suits and ties, or he was a Muslim. What gave you this impression that he was practicing voodoo or Santeria, or he was a Sikh, or he was in the Hindu religion, an enlightened one? What gives you this impression that he had anything to do with the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, the Indians, the Elam? He had a God. The Hebrews had a God, a deity, a patron, a deity that they followed, and who we call the Most High God, right? Which his name, you're dealing with the Tetragrammaton, YHWH, we teach Yahweh, right? Or you can say short Yah. So now we're going to go, and you can dive deeper into that for yourself. But just think about that. Give it a reason and some thought. All right. And then we're going to look at what he taught. Because these religions, these so-called spiritualities dealing with witchcraft, it's no power in them. Because you might say, okay, the stuff that Jesus and them did is witchcraft, sorcery, whatever they did. But everything they did, when you read the prophets and the Messiah, Yahweh Mashiach, we're going to read some things. Everything they did was powered from the Most High God, not toward any deity that you pray toward or give homage to with your rituals that are not in the Hebrew or the Israelite culture. You cannot find this outside the Bible. Let's say, all right, the Bible is corrupt. For all the brothers and sisters out there following that stuff, show me archaeology that proves that they follow another deity outside of being enslaved. Show me that, right? And now we're going to go into some of the things that he taught. Because these various religions I named, they don't teach these things. Correct. So the biggest one we're going to go to, if you're ready, guys, it's going to be, let me see. Should be in Matthew. All right. Matthew 5 and 17.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets.
Okay. So the context of what's going on is Hamashiach is saying he didn't come to destroy the law and the prophets. The law is talking about the Torah, the first 5 books, for context. This is one of the main sources that you see this figure, Jesus, that all these people proclaim to be some, thing in their religion. This is where they get a proclamation of who he is. They come to the Bible. They all come to the Bible. Right? And outside of historical texts, they don't have nothing on Jesus or who he was outside of that. So they come to the Bible, and he's saying, okay, this is the Christ's words right here in red. He come not to destroy the law or the prophets. What is the law? He's talking about the Torah. So he's saying he didn't come to destroy the law or the prophets, which is the quote unquote Old Testament, the Tanakh, Isaiah, Matthew, Daniel, etc. He came to fulfill. So he's contextually talking about what he's dealing with. I don't see anything about a coming prophet named Muhammad in here. I don't see anything about doing witchcraft, sorcery, and summoning some deity, that has goat horns. I don't see nothing about praying and then we're going to meditate for 60 hours and reach enlightenment with our third eye and teleport out this plane. I see something about the prophets and the law. Now we're going to keep reading and go farther. You can keep reading the next one. Keep going.
I'm not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled.
Okay. So the earth is still here, right? We're still alive. The heaven and the earth still stands, right? So that means the law still stands. So this law that still stands that, is not fulfilled, concerning privacy, which this is contextually talking about. So this means that this figure, Jesus the Christ or Yahweh Shai Mashiach, he is talking and upholding a law, which is the Torah. So if he's upholding this, and this is what he is dealing with, the law and the prophets, why do none of these religions that put him as a central figure, why do they not follow this? It's interesting. And they're very secretive. Are they secretly keeping these this enlightenment? Are they secretly keeping these laws? I don't see it. If you as Christ says, you shall know a man by his fruits, which is your works, your physical actions, what he does. If you watch him silently and observe him without speaking to him, you'll see. I haven't seen it personally, but again, we're gonna go through some more of the teachings that he talks about. There's a lot of people that say that he's a central figure in their religion, which obviously he's not. Yahushua Mashiach was a Hebrew Israelite man from the tribe of Judah that taught his people. He came as an example through prophecy to be what the people should have been, what men of Israel and women should have been doing from the first place, in the beginning. He was made to be that example, right? And we're going to go through some things he taught that we forget when we in all these different religions, that all these people say they follow Jesus, but none of them do. They don't follow these things, right? We're going to go into some proof on it. Let me see. So if you could go into Matthew chapter 6, verse 16, and read all the way to 18.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 16.
Chapter 6, verse 16 to 18.
Chapter 6, verse 16 to 18. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrite of a sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces, that they may appear unto men to fast.
Okay. You see this in Catholicism, right? They say Jesus is God. You see this when they do their little afflictions. They do a little affliction flash where they beat themselves with whips and they make it appear like they're suffering so bad. You see this in Islam when they do Ramadan. They acting like the fast that they do from sunset to sunset or whatever. I might be saying it wrong. Like when the sun go up and the sun go down, like it's so dreadful. Right? These different religions, they all do this fasting. But what do? They do it to be seen of men. Oh, it's Ramadan. Look what I'm doing. Oh, look what I'm doing as a Roman Catholic. I'm punishing myself. I'm doing the Day of Atonement, so I'm going to whip myself with a whip and fast and look like I'm suffering, to act like I'm the Messiah. Stuff like that. They doing these things to be seen of men. What does the Most High tell us to do? I mean, what was the message that he used? Yahushua HaMashiach. Like, what was the words they put through this brother? And what message did he give to him to present? Right, you can keep reading that.
That they may appear unto men to fast. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thy head and wash thine face.
Yeah, when you fast, take care of yourself, man. Clean your face. Why you don't have to have crusty stuff on your lips and your breath ball and putting a fake ash cross on your forehead and having I'm fast. You don't got to do that, man. Take care of yourself. Clean yourself up. Make it look like you're not even fasting. Because if you fasting for something for the Most High, I'm not talking about fasting to lose weight or fasting for discipline, but fasting because let's say you're a brother that deals with some type of sin, and you just pray to the Lord and fast to defeat that sin, and you praying for a spiritual thing toward the Most High. You telling people and being all seen of men, that's not going to really do nothing. The reward, I mean, they might look, oh dang, he how can he fast like that? The reward that you want is going to be according to what this is saying, right? Keep going, right there.
That thou appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly.
And you're going to be rewarded openly, man. All right, we're going to go to some more. We're going to go into some more. Let me see the model prayer. You can read you stay in chapter 6 and read verse 5. And you can stop at Verse 7.
Book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 5. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets. That
Christians,
they,
like you see this in Christianity, right? I seen this when I was I was dealing with, I was being mentored by a pastor, right? And I used to go to church conferences. I used to see this a lot. Christians go in the corner and try to pray out in public to cause a spectacle, right? And then you see Muslims do this all the time with the they pray on the rug and do these things. They pray out in the open to be seen of men. Like realistically, people not thinking you powerful or nothing like that. You doing all that for what? Just pray in public, like in a private setting, right? And it's going to say, like some translations will say your closet. It don't literally mean like a literal closet. You could go to the bathroom. You can go to your car, your house. It's not exclusive to a closet. You can keep reading.
that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathens do, for they
And
think
the heathen, right? The Gentiles, that I'm talking about natural born Gentiles, because these religions outside of the understanding and belief that the Messiah followed, again, it's tied to culture. Catholicism is a Eurocentric understanding of the Bible, right? They do I went to a Catholic mass one time. They count the different beads, Hail Mary, XYZ, right? They'll pray 100 times. And sometimes, when brothers pray a prayer repeatedly, like sometimes I see this in the truth. Brothers will pray, a Hebrew prayer, and sometimes brothers don't understand too, like the Catholic Church and in Islam, just because you pray the same prayer 3 times does not mean the Most High God is going to hear you even more. The Most High know if you being sincere with your prayer or not. Pray 1 time and be done with it. The Most High heard it. Praying 3 times or 5 times, 7 times the same prayer, you think the Most High going to hear it more? And then if anything, a lot of people that do those type of prayers, they do it in, what is the word? They do it, some do it in devotion, but there's some that do it as though it's grievous. So now you're doing something that is grievous, and the Most High may look at it like it's not sincere. I mean, I don't know, but the Most High could look at it that way. You're like, I gotta pray 6 more times. Because some people have that spirit where they don't want to do it that many times. So you doing these vain prayers in Islam and doing that, and then in Catholicism you counting the beads and doing these vain prayers that mean nothing to you. You have no connection. You're just doing it because man told you to do it. Most High is not going to hear that. Right? You can keep reading.
Verse 7, but when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathens do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking.
Right? And that's what it goes down to. These are just some examples that if these religions are so true, why do they do things that the Messiah told them not to do? Why they openly, and we can get deeper. We can go into what the Messiah believed, the Torah. But these are surface level things that he said out his mouth. And a lot of these different religions will go to the Bible to say, look at the enlightened guru said, or look what this Freemason brother in the 1st century said. They had this truth, or this Muslim brother. But y'all don't follow what he said. Y'all just go there, oh, look, Jesus. But why y'all disregarding his words right here, man? Why? That's a valid question.
Mm-hmm.
If what you follow is the truth, why must it be hidden from the our people in the public? Or if you believe it, why do you not adhere to what he says?
Yeah, I had a verse for what you're saying about that as well.
Yeah, you can pull it.
It's Matthew 5 and 5 and I'll start at 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and giveth light
And,
unto all that are in the house.
and you see that when I talked to that sister yesterday, and I don't even care. I don't realistically. I know a lot about Santeria already. Right, I really don't want to get into it because a lot of that stuff is real evil. But it's the fact that the sister told me I can't tell you. It's tradition, and she's into the whole Kemet. She's a little older, but she's into the Kemet, pro-black, stuff. She's a Puerto Rican sister that's a little darker. The whole black, she know the history about the enslavement, the conquistadors, and all that. And it hurt slightly a little bit because she's, I can't tell you. It's tradition, and I know why it's tradition. The tradition teaches that they cannot teach Santeria because in fear that the conquistadors will burn them and kill them for for that practice. And on top of that, they want to keep it from white people. I'm your own people, and you don't want to prescribe that to me, right? If you believe this to be the truth, why? If it's so true, why are you hiding this light from the rest of the people? You putting it under a bushel that is just hidden. Mm-hmm. This central figure, Jesus the Christ, Yahushua Mashiach, that you follow, or say is so powerful. He was a warlock. He walked on water. See, that's witchcraft right there, nigga. Right, as they would say. See, he was an enlightened guru. He opened his third eye. He was practicing Hindu, right? Or he was a thief. See, Jesus was walking, and he was y'all hiding this information. The Freemasons, especially, with these initiations and hiding this information. Oh, see, brother, look, the light. You gotta be the light unto the world. Just read the verse and don't say none of that. What is that? That's nonsense, man. And as Hebrew Israelites, we out here meeting the people where they at, giving them this water when they ask the questions that they need with sincerity. Anything that we may get wrong at the time may be due to our lack of understanding as a man. That's growth. But with you to directly out and vertically just not tell people this light that's changing you and giving you power and getting you through that's hatred. That's actually a form of hatred. And again, I can't get down with none of these understandings, and I'm trying to open y'all brothers and sisters' eyes listening. Just think about that. If this individual is a central figure in your religion and understanding, and they hold him to a high esteem, why are they going directly against his teachings and understanding? This is not like the epistles of Paul. These are his actual direct writings, of his words being scribed and written down. Right? That's just something to think about. I want to open up the floor though too. Do any brothers have any insight and any scriptures dealing with the topic at hand? No brothers got no insight, no personal experiences with that.
Yeah, this one in Matthew. What is it? Matthew 12. Matthew 12:30. It's when he was casting out devils, and he was
Okay, yeah, that's witchcraft right there, brother. See, damn. No, but that I mean,
yeah, I mean, what you mean, like just with witchcraft itself?
No, so the context of Jesus, as they was call him, right, or Isa, because these are two names that are big in our community. People know those names. But we call Yahushai, for those listening, right, in the video. The context of our people and not even just our people, the Gentiles, right? Because everybody thinks that they had the truth. All these different religions use him as a central figure, or say he was an enlightened teacher or a guru that had the secrets of life, and he reached enlightenment, or he practiced warlock witchcraft, or he was an alchemist, or he was a Muslim, or he was a Christian man. basically like stuff kind of like combating and going against this. Like I'm trying to make this like real simple. Like basically showing the hypocrisy in what they believe, because they say they believe him, but they don't follow the things he say, or they go against the stuff that he teaches. The core tenets of what the Messiah teaches, at least.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any personal experiences in the world for people that may watch this video, or like scriptures connecting with that, of instances?
I have a scripture. It's Matthew 12, and we could start at what we could start at verse 24, because you were saying that that, and through the Ephraimite sister, Santa Maria, that a lot of it's looked at that Yahweh Shah, who the world called Jesus, is not using the hand of the Heavenly Father, that he's using Satan's hand, to perform these miracles. So this is the same thought process that the Pharisees and the scribes thought of him back then. You start at 24, bro.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 24. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, Salakia. But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, This fellow doth not cast out devils, but by Beelzebub, the prince of the devils.
So even if you really look at that, Yahushua is going to break it down. But even if you look at that, that in itself doesn't even make sense. Come on.
And Yahushua said, and Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation.
Mm-hmm.
And every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall this kingdom stand?
Yeah, how can this kingdom stand? So it just wouldn't even make any sense, right? So if Satan's job is to try to put a devil or a demon on you, right? So if he was using if he was using Jesus to put demons on people, or no, if Satan's job is to put demons on people and Yahushua was casting out demons, then and he's working for Satan, then he's working against Satan, because obviously Satan's job is to have you go off by putting spirits on you. So if Christ is casting spirits out of people, then it would appear that he's opposed to Satan rather than working for him, right? So that wouldn't even make sense. But this is just a lot of the theory that people have just to try to discredit or disprove the Messiah. And matter of fact, to go to your point though about witchcraft and personal experience,
Sluggy, hold up. I was gonna say, is there a verse where we could show that he cast out demons in the name of the Most High? That's a big one. Because you want to know what people could do? Well, I can cast out. They're gonna be like, okay, I'm casting out demons too. So my God, I'm not gonna say no Patreons or deities names, but when you look at the different, understandings, like Santeria, the voodoo, and all that, they believe that their deity is, some righteous deity, whatever deity they may follow. And they say, okay, I cast out evil spirits too. So I must be following the true God. You said, wait, he casted out Satan. So I'm not working for Satan. You say I'm working for Satan, brother. Because I'm doing it on whatever side you're saying. But I'm casting out demons. So I must be, working for your God or the Lord or the right God. So is there like any Bible verses where we could show that it said like, well, I mean, let me see. There should be some Bible verses dealing with the Messiah proclaiming the Most High as his God.
I can look it up real quick, but the one where he cast out the demon and the demon was speaking to him and he was like, is this the time for you to cast us out? And he cast it into the pit. So when the spirit was speaking to him, if they was on court with one another, then they, like how you're saying, the demon could have just played that game as if he wasn't casting them out, like he was actually playing to cast them out, but he cast them out and put them into the pit.
I have a
That's it.
verse that go right with that too as well.
Hold on. Just go down to Matthew 12 and 28. Christ
Yeah,
says,
that's what I was thinking from the instant. Yeah,
yeah. Christ says who he's casting
27.
out, which authority he's casting them out by.
Yeah, you
All right.
26, 27.
You want me to read straight through?
Yeah, 26, 27.
Con, verse 26. And if Satan casts out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And if I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore they shall be your judges. But if I cast out devils by the Spirit of Yahweh, then the kingdom of God is come unto you.
All right. So I wanna make this slow, connect the dots real quick. So some people might be, playing us, as the simple mind. Oh, it says God. See, brother, that could be any God. But we just read the genealogy of the Messiah. We do context here, right? The genealogy of Jesus the Christ, Yahweh Mashiach, right? He comes from the Hebrews, the Jews, the Israelites. Who was their main deity that they followed every captivity that you can find? YHWH, right? And this deity is who? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You see this reference throughout the Bible and even the Apocrypha, right? So if we connect the dots to that, because you might say, oh, that's in English. It says God, or the Greek says, it can say theon or theos or whatever terminology, there's different terminologies in the Greek. But if somebody wants to play that game, we connect the context and that kind of goes that route to what God he was serving in this, giving a tributary understanding on how he cast this demon out. He's not talking about this deity that you are using within your sensoria of voodoo, right? He's not using this deity, he's not, and then for Christians that say he's God in the flesh, why would he give glory to God? Like what? That doesn't even make sense. Well, I'm casting this demon out in the spirit in the name of my God. But you are God, brother. How are you? What? Like if I was in that time, I would be confounded. I'd be sitting out. My brain would be like, what? Right? I mean, and you want me? I think you was about to bring something out.
Yeah, you were saying name a personal experience, right? Because we deal with a lot of our people with different folklores, different religions, follow different customs. Sister communicating to before, she was saying that her boss, like she was beefing with him or whatever, had problems with him, but she was saying that like she wrote his name on a paper, like folded it and put it in her shoe, and like I mean like that way she was saying like he's underneath her and like walking under. I mean, and that in itself is a form of witchcraft because you're basically saying like now that basically you take that power away from the authority that he has from you. Like you don't have no power in it. Almost the same of like how people would connect to making a vow and acting on it.
You know what's crazy about that, right? Well, I used to say this a lot, and I got to do better on it. I used to debate a lot on Yubo, and I used to interact with a lot of our people. A lot of our people are not like this. A lot of our people in Christianity, but a lot of our people practice voodoo. I met a voodoo lord. His name was actually he was from Africa. And his name was Kujo, and he was very secretive about what he believed. And then there was a flock of people that followed him. I used to condemn people that practice witchcraft, but not in a way of like cussing them out and all that, but in an indirect way. Because we gotta be wise and tear that light down, but without destroying and hurting our people where they, want to fight us and kill us for no reason. So I had a couple so-called sorcerers and witches. One of them wrote my name. They put Batakia, right? Because that's how they knew me as. They put it on a paper and they tried to do a blood ritual. They sliced their hand and did some blood ritual, put the blood on there, and they tried to put, a curse on me. And I used to always say this. There's a verse, I forgot where it's at. It's in what people today call the Old Testament, which we call the Tanakh. If you are a descendant, or not even if you are a child of Jacob, right? Isaac, I forgot how it go, but if a brother could pull that, so I'm not, in a indirect false spirit. But basically, it says something around the lines of, divination and witchcraft, especially if you have faith in the Most High. And I told brothers and sisters this. I used to always say this. If we're going to debate people of other religions or help our people, we have to stay in prayer, because you don't know how many times somebody's putting demonic curses on you. Witchcraft, sorcery, voodoo curses for you to die. I've heard brothers get told that people were doing witchcraft spells on them to get their children killed and for them to get sick. And the times where you slip up and you're not praying and you slipping up, in this captivity, that one slip could be a crack in your armor. And that witchcraft spell that they did, it might get through the armor. You slipped
Matthew
up.
23 and 23.
That's something to think about.
I got point 2 when y'all done.
You can read that. I think that guy Sean had pulled.
Numbers 23 and 23. Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination against Israel. According to this time, it shall be said of Jacob and of Israel, what have God wrath or wrath? So,
But this really only applies realistically when you look at it. Realistically, because you see situations in the scripture where brothers are dealt with divination and get jacked up with it. But the instance where you see it doesn't work on righteous brothers and sisters that are in the actual favor of the Most High God, keeping the laws and not being wicked. It doesn't work on them. Prime example, the Messiah, Yahweh Shai Mashiach. It doesn't work on him. Right? He's powerful where he can cast out a demon. Like stuff like that, when you think about it, it's like, dang, that's people don't understand. Like we in a spirit, like the scriptures say, or the Bible say, we're in spiritual war. People don't understand that. When you're talking to people, sometimes you're talking to a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I'm on the street and I preach to people, some people I just don't even deal with. There's no point. What's the point? If that's a demon, you just let the demon take your time. They win it. They distracting you to cuss them out or tell them to bow down and kiss your feet. Well, you're supposed to be getting this word out, man, to wake your people up. But you getting distracted by the demon, the spirit, the evil spirit, the unclean spirit, the sorcerer, the warlock. Our people that are in madness is a distraction. Because we come to, like as the Bible says, to tear down them spiritual strongholds. Not dancing around with the damn demon holding hands, going back and forth. Because it say in Proverbs, if somebody could pull that, I might, you're wrong. Isn't it a verse that says something along the lines like when a fool is arguing, like if you argue with a fool, like, I'm trying to find it. Hold on.
They both could be seen as fools. I think it's Proverbs 4 and something.
And that fool that you argue with, like I said, an unclean spirit or a demon can be using them. Or they could just be a vessel of destruction and be using themselves as a damn fool.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 26 and verse 4. I'm reading the NLT. Don't answer foolish arguments of fools, or you will become foolish as they are.
Yeah, and this is, and I want to be, for parents that may be listening to this with their kids and easily offended. This is not something I'm about to say. It's not offensive. It's just very foul. Like, how could somebody even think something like this? So, you can close their ears, right? There was a thing there was a white boy. He was talking to me, right? And he was like, "Oh, he was like, you love God, right? I mess with the stuff y'all teach. I love it." He was probably 42. I used to work with him overnight, and he said something real crazy off of eating edibles, right? He was at work eating edibles. He was just saying stupid stuff. He said, "Does your God have a butthole?"
Yo.
You know what I told him? I didn't tell him nothing. I just looked at him and walked the fuck away. And excuse my language. I went back in my work booth and just, watched anime. Because stuff like that is no reason to like. What am I going to argue with him? Back and like, what is the point? Oh, so I can fight him, so I can punch him in the mouth, so I can get locked up. so I could fight them, act a goddamn fool, and then our people see that, and oh, Hebrew Israelites are just that's now I'm letting him take away from the spirit of the Most High and diminish the ministry, or I'm just wasting my energy, right? Or I'm giving the demon energy. Because the whole thing about the spirituality is we always say, people in the truth always say, I'm spiritual. Our people always like to say they're spiritual. Are you really spiritual? The spirituality, if you really believe the spirituality, you understand it, and the scientists will call it, dealing with the spirit energy. When you're dealing with spirits, you transfer an energy. When you cuss me out and call me a B word and I cuss back and do that, I'm getting my blood pressure up, my heart pumping faster, right? I'm exchanging energy that does not need to be exchanged. I can just calmly look at you like you're a fool and get back to what I'm doing. Right. And that's, that's all I got to say for the lesson. And if anybody want to, say any more to end it out.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, when I was working at Burlington, I met a real sorcerer. It's like the boy, Edomite boy, he came to my job a few times. And you could just see it on certain people, like, yeah, man, like, and you can sense it on the experience, like you went into some type of weird witchcraft or something. And I actually ended up asking him. I was just like, "You a sorcerer?" And he was just like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I was just like, I could just tell. But I kept my space a little bit talking to him, though. Yeah, man, because I ain't want him to touch me or nothing. But he said that, I asked him a few questions about it. And he said he don't sacrifice animals or nothing. He more so just make potions out of herbs and stuff like that. And he said the one thing that a lot of people spirits, like a lot of people in that um type of witchcraft do, they make spells for like love. And he was just like, yeah,
You
don't
know what's
ever.
cool about that? Here's the
He
kicker.
said don't ever do that.
All the stuff that they do, bro, all the stuff they do, like now that I think about it, sacrificing animals is actually not wicked. We used to do that all the time.
Right.
As a Christian, you might think, oh, that's evil, that's wicked, that's demonic. We do sin offerings and sacrifice, like what is it, sheep, goats, all birds and stuff.
Yeah.
All that sorcery stuff that they do, they got it from where? Where did they get that from? People don't even think about that. They're just doing it upon a unclean spirit, a demon, or a deity that they
Left
believe.
hand side. It's the
Yeah,
left
they
hand
believe.
side.
Are they trying to channel themselves, trying to channel blood and stuff, the
Mhm.
so-called blood magic? Because when you look at the story of Moses, and I'm not telling anybody to practice witchcraft, because the law says that if somebody practices witchcraft, they're supposed to get put to death. And it says, I told you when you told me about the situation, the scripture says to not consult with any wizards or witches or warlocks with familiar spirits. And they love to touch people.
Yeah.
They like to touch you and put stuff down. They I don't know, they like, that's a transfer of energy. They like to touch your hand, give you a handshake. They like to do all types of weird stuff, right? So and it's just, when you look at it, all this stuff go back to the Most High, man. Because when you look at Moses and Aaron, the Egyptians had sorcerers. They turned the staff into snakes. Nobody knows about that story. Christians forget about that. And Moses' staff, or I think I might be mixing it up because the Christianity in my head for all these years. Aaron actually was using the staff most of the time, which I learned in the truth, which was a mind blower to me. I thought like Moses always used the staff, but Aaron used it too. And the staff turned into a giant snake. I forgot who did it, Aaron or Moses, but they dropped it and it turned into a bigger snake and ate the Egyptian, right? The Kemet stuff. It ate their snake. So all that stuff comes from the Most High, but people are channeling it, and the Most High used it, those instances to show his power, to show that he's the true God. And that's why the other nations were afraid of us, because they practiced that witchcraft and sorcery, but we had that too, but not on with how they was doing it. It was just way stronger. It was dealing with the Most High God. So that's just something also, just being put out there. But I'm not advocating for people to start practicing sorcery and witchcraft. Don't start doing that and talking about, oh yeah, Yahweh. And you doing these satanic rituals that's not tied into our culture. Don't take what I'm saying and do that. Some people can twist words and stuff, and oh, he said you could, that was in our culture. See, man, because the law is very strict about that. But I'm done, brothers. You know, if you want to keep going,
No, bro, you good. Great lesson.
that all the power go to the Most High, man.